child of Somali immigrants, and I'm the child of Honduran immigrants.
It's gonna be a great show. It's gonna be fun. We're just gonna talk about random stuff that's relevant to growing up in the U.S. as an immigrant. So join us. You might laugh, you might roll your eyes, or you might tune us out. I don't know.
It's over that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is like pretty close quarter.
Sounds dry.
All right, we're live. We're recording.
We're recording together in the same place.
Yeah, this is new. This is new.
Post-pandemic.
Get your hands off the thing. The sound's gonna pound on it. So
Okay.
no touch.
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm not used to this.
Yeah. So look, reach out and touch someone. Is that aging me? You remember those ads? I joined
Oh, is that the AT&T?
something, I don't know, but it's something that young people won't know anything about.
That's true. Yeah, I think it was AT&T, one of those phone companies, or Verizon.
So I joined a Facebook group, which probably already in and of itself ages me, but it was a Facebook group for elder millennials, and first of all, I love that term, elder millennials, but secondly, you know how like when you join a group, they give you like a little test to see if like you really belong?
Yeah.
And their test was finish this statement. Help, I've fallen and I can't.
Get up. You know,
Young people won't know what to do with that.
you know what's ironic? And I kind of feel triggered a little bit. I started getting actual junk mail now from nursing homes directed towards me.
Well, I think that's because you're the decision maker for your parents. You're in that role.
Yeah, but they don't put their names on it. They put my name on it.
Because you're the person who's gonna you're the caretaker.
It's still triggering.
Yeah, that's also not a good position to be in.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're like you're gonna check into a nursing home.
I don't know. Make it sound like that. It's directed right at me.
In my case, I have the same name as my dad, so
Well then that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, also you are old. Wait, hold on. I'm older than you, ain't I? Damn it. Never mind. Back to the story. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so we're starting a show. We had this idea.
Yeah.
We've had another show for a while, and so this is the first episode of this show, which is a very, very different purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to be able to do something different. And I think there's going to be a lot of things on this show that we wouldn't talk about on the other show.
It's really therapy for us more than anything else, I feel like.
A little bit, a lot of that.
A lot
yeah.
of that. No, not a little bit. It's going to be a lot of that.
But
You're just going to
also-
listen to us complain about our lives. That's pretty much what it is. Because that's what you do when you're old. Complain about your lives.
Maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll go that way.
Yeah. Reminisce.
But okay, so the other show is called Screw the Stock Market. You should check it out. It's fun.
It is.
That was more of a journal of our journey.
Well, hold on. Can we say that it's fun? I mean, most people find that stuff boring.
It's fun for us.
It's fun for us.
And I think that's
Yeah.
the point. So that show was fun for us, and it's more of like our journal as we're like learning and networking and
Trying to retire.
and gather information about alternative investments and all that stuff. And that's cool. But it's, if that's not like your main thing, it might not be so interesting. And so to start off with also, we didn't really intend to connect with an audience of entrepreneurs and real estate investors. We were hoping to connect with regular people who are working their 9-to-5 job, and that show really wasn't connecting with that audience. It was valuable for us. It was therapeutic. I think we were able to digest and learn all this stuff and connect with these people who've done all these amazing things.
Yeah, networking. Like that dude who was trying to convince us that we can invest with him and Oprah and Serena Williams. I was like, okay.
He was talking to us like a peer. It was hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we have this deal. We're going to go meet, what's his name? Richard Branson on his private island. It's me, Serena, and Oprah. You guys could come in on this deal with us. I was like, yeah, we got Oprah money. Sure.
But it's cool, and I think maybe we could continue to build that friendship with that guy, because he was really nice. I feel
he was
like
nice.
we
He was
really
cool.
did connect
Yeah,
with him.
he was a venture capital guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're getting back into the old show now. Okay.
But now,
This is not about that.
That's not this show.
That's not about that. Yeah.
So, of all the stuff that we did on that show, the things that did get some sort of engagement is the stuff about kind of the basis of our friendship, like the where we started. You know, we both were in the same college, and
As fobs.
yeah,
Actually, I probably was more fobby than you are.
I don't know about that.
Well, no, when we established now you got a real American accent now instead of a fake fob accent like we used to think. But we're digressing.
That's
All right,
another
go ahead.
episode,
That's
yes.
another episode. Go ahead.
Anyways, I think the main way that we first connected was because we were both children of immigrants, right? Like, he's a child of Somali immigrants, and I'm the child of Honduran immigrants. And we both had that. And it was in a pretty homogeneous population, right? Like,
The whitest place on earth.
it was a great school.
It was the whitest place on earth.
I like, it's still all of my closest friends are pretty much from that
Oh,
school.
they're awesome. Yeah, all of our closest social circles all from there. But it was the whitest place on earth.
Yeah,
I
we
just like
stood
to
out.
emphasize. Yeah, I was confused for one of the 3 black men on campus. At any given moment, I was either Titus, Moses, or Timotheus.
Good guys. All
Yeah,
good guys.
all good guys.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there are 4 of us now, I guess. Yeah.
Now.
Well, then at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this show's gonna be a lot of rambling. That's what I'm realizing. We're just gonna be rambling. Maybe this
We're
is
going
not
to
a
get
great
better.
idea.
This is the first episode. We're just figuring it. We're trying to introduce it. So let's introduce the show.
Okay.
Children of Immigrants. That's, of all the stuff that we created in the past, that's the
Yeah.
stuff that resonated. That's the stuff that got people excited. And the truth is, that's kind of like what's gotten us excited. That's who we want to be around. Like, a lot of our friends is kind of international, kind of like, hey. But I'll speak for myself. I connect with people who are not from Honduras a little bit more easily than I do with people who are, because I feel like there's a certain level of expectation of like, are you Honduran enough? And I'm not. And so when I hang out with someone who's Somali or Vietnamese or whatever, they don't have any expectations of how a Honduran should behave. So
There's not even an expectation. You don't even look Honduran. They think you're an Arab. When he goes home, they think that's the rich Arab man around the corner is what they call him. Because he looks nothing like his people. He looks like the Lebanese people who are usually the rich folks in Honduras, but not Honduran.
And I don't know why. I don't think I have any Arab roots. And my dad looks Honduran, and I look like a lot like my dad.
Do.
Oh, yeah, in that sense. But, all right, anyways. So that's the show.
Yeah.
That's the idea for the show. And we just want to talk about stuff. So we all have like this kind of feeling of we're too American for our family or we're not ethnic enough, whatever. Like, I'm not Honduran enough in these other situations, or not American enough sometimes here in the U.S. where I've always felt like an other, right? And so that's what the show's about. Not really therapy, but just kind of like, hey, you ever felt this? And like, let's talk about some stuff. And what's cool about it is we can talk about things that we wouldn't have talked about on the other show, like therapy, like emotions, like food, which is gonna be fun.
That's my favorite
This
topic.
guy cooks.
I don't know if I cook. I eat more than I do.
I survive.
That's why I gain all this weight. Look at my face. I mean, I look like a giant milk dud. Like a cross between Potato Head and a milk dud.
You can interpret my silence however you want.
This camera's terrible. Go ahead. Anyway, let's sum it up. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be fun. We're just going to talk about random crap. Not crap, but, random stuff that's relevant to growing up in the U.S. as an immigrant. So join us. You might laugh. You might roll your eyes. Or you might tune us out. I don't know. We're just going to do a lot of rambling, and it's going to be fun. At least for us.
I think that's the goal.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. We picked a name for it. The name is You're So Well Spoken.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your story, because it's yours.
Are we going to do that now, or are we going to do that in the next episode?
No, we're going to do
This
that.
is going to be the longest intro ever.
It's an episode. It's not an intro.
Oh, okay.
The intro's
See,
over.
I didn't
We
know. You didn't
introduced
tell
it.
me.
Now we're telling the story.
Okay, all right. I'll tell the
And we'll
story.
just talk a little bit about it,
All
and
right.
then
Okay, let's just get into it. Communication.
we're gonna plan these out more.
Yeah. So the title of the show is "You're So Well Spoken," and you might think that it's just kind of like a random thing, or or it could be a play on what black people normally hear. It's like, oh, you're so well spoken, which is exactly what it is. So that happened to me. Everyone kind of hears these stories of white people telling you, you're so well spoken. And you think, I was like, oh, okay, sensationalize something or happens every once in a while, but not common. No, it's happened to me multiple times. But the most prominent one that has happened to me was when we had a neighbor, wonderful, wonderful old lady. She was like a second mom when I was growing up. Really handy. She would come in there with her tool belt and fix random things around the house when my dad would either get too lazy to do it or he would try to do it yourself and slowly demolish our house. Most likely usually demolished. So she would come with her tool belt and be like, let me take care of this. She got older and she started getting sick, and then she's pretty much like an extended family member, so we used to take care of her. Eventually, God rest her soul, she passed away, and her sister and her husband showed up to kind of get her affairs in order and everything. So my mom is over there kind of helping set up things, arrange the house and whatnot, and I come over to help out. And this little white lady gets introduced to me by my mom, and my mom's got like a thick accent, so she's pretty. That's the stereotype that she's with the expectations. So she's not dazzled by my mom speaking. But then I come over and I start talking to her, and literally I thought her eyes were just gonna fall out of her head, and then she starts leaning in closer and closer. Every second her eyes are just like bugging out, and then her mouth slowly is hanging and drooping. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this woman? Like, it looked like she was having a stroke. And then I stopped talking to kind of like check on her, and she's like, oh my, you're so well spoken. And then to add insult to injury, she starts calling her husband from the back. She's like, Frank, you gotta come over here and hear him. He's so well spoken. I was like, what the hell did I... Then she convinced me that she's got to introduce me to a nice white Catholic girl that would be a great match for me. And she kept emphasizing white. She kept saying, like, enunciate. She's nice and white and Catholic. White. And I was just like, what is happening?
It's tone deaf, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I was like, all right, I'm going to go now.
My most recent one that I thought was really, again, it's a weird feeling, right? Like, to talk, like, you talked about what happened, but, like, when you're in the situation, it's, at least in my case, I've never been offended by it. I've just been kind of like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this is just funny that this person is so out of touch.
Yeah.
Mine recently was with another real estate entrepreneur who was asking for a review of their marketing materials. They're like, hey, I've prepared these marketing materials. If you'd be interested in looking them over and just giving me your thoughts, I'd really appreciate it. And I said, yeah, I'd be happy to. She started asking about our business, and I said, yeah, we really are passionate about connecting with the population of like children of immigrants and people who've reached a certain level of professional success after immigrating to the United States. And for me, and she was just kind of offering advice, and she's like, are you sure you want to use that word, immigrants? Like, ooh, that's kind of loaded. I was like, what's loaded about it?
So we are immigrants.
That's the word. She's like, wouldn't you consider like colonizers or what? Like, and I was like,
that's more loaded than immigrant.
It's a worse word.
And who in this scenario is the colonizer? How is she?
I think she's saying that we're
colonizing America?
I think that's one step away from calling us invaders, isn't it?
That is calling you an invader.
I didn't even think about that until right now. But yeah, just out of touch. It's just a play on that. Like, we're not going to be hating on people who are out of touch or anything like that. It's whatever.
You might not.
Maybe we will a little bit. But really, like, the focus is more, it's like for us, by us, right? It's like, it's just having a space where we can talk about stuff. One of the ones I've always dreamt of doing, because I remember I did a project in high school where everyone in the group had to interview their parents. And that kind of like relationship dynamic of how different our experience is than that of our parents, who were like the first generation to come. There's a bunch of stuff there, and I think
I gotta hear it on a constant basis.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So, quick cultural tip: never engage a Somali man in any type of conversation where it allows him the ability to just ramble. And actually, this is probably not a good opportunity. I'm telling on myself.
If
No,
that isn't the pot calling. I'm sure there's a saying there. I don't know how to finish that one. So go ahead.
pot calling the kettle black.
You said it, not me.
No, okay. Yeah. Somali men have a tendency to ramble, particularly my father. You ask him a simple question, it'll turn into like a 3-hour lecture. So, yeah, asking him about his experience will turn into like 3, maybe 5-hour lecture, at the end of which he will tell you, and that is why you are arrogant. Like, how did this turn around to be about me?
I mean, I think in my case, it's been the opposite, right? Like, maybe not the opposite.
Yeah.
I remember one time, again, like younger, I think I was in maybe high school, hopefully, maybe college, and I made some comment about, like, real school, and I made, like, oh, yeah, like, I don't remember, some privileged, like, bullshit that I said, like, that kind of school is for people who don't, it's not like a brand name, like a big name school.
Yeah.
It's only for, and it was like night school or something.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, what do you mean? Like, and then just the look of disappointment was, this guy is so spoiled. He's had everything fed to him. He's had it so easy and now he looks down on people like his father. Because my dad was like working. He was driving taxis at like 12 years old in Honduras, like scrambling to pay his way through school. So he had to work, like,
And making shoes.
yeah, all this stuff,
Yeah.
just like hardcore stuff. Walking to school in the snow in Honduras. It's not true, but he wasn't exaggerating. He like had it really so much harder. And so for me, I've always felt like, oh, I'm so spoiled, so entitled, and still he's accomplished so much. And
Here
so,
you poo-pooing on his legacy.
exactly, and
Yeah.
just the look of like, oh, not that he was disappointed or hurt by what I said. It's more of like, he's so spoiled and he doesn't even know. And I was just
You
like,
know what? That actually does remind me. You were out of touch back in the day.
oh yeah.
Yeah, remember the dude from physics class?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this was hilarious. It was not hilarious, but it was just typical out of touch Alex at the time. So at the time we were in college, and he had a classmate. Alex used to be a physics and math major at the time. He would just come back with just random things like, what are you trying to teach him? Like black body effect? I don't know what that. I thought he was giving me band names. Apparently it was physics terms, whatever. But anyway, he had this classmate of his who was working his way through college, and he was telling him, was like, oh yeah, I got to get triple shift today or whatever. And I look over, and Alex looks over at him with confusion. He's like, why? Why do you have to work? Just stop working. Life would be easier. And the guy's like, I got to work. That's how I pay for tuition. Alex is like, why do you have to pay for tuition? I was like, what is wrong with you? And he legitimately was confused.
Yeah, those, but it wasn't that. I knew you have to pay for tuition, but I was just like, why don't you just get a loan, and then you're gonna get a job later and just work the rest of your life until you die. Just get a loan, and you can just study.
You got no one to co-sign on the loan for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't really understand. But
As we're about to sign like a $2 million loan right now.
yeah, man, we had to get co-signers. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think out of touch is an appropriate word. But I do think that's also a cultural thing, right? Like in my house, I was always like, they discouraged us from working because the first thing that would happen is, and I think this is a good cultural thing, right? So
it's the same with us.
Yeah. The threat was always, if you work, you're going to get used to money, and then you're going to stop studying because the money is easier. And so you see it where the example was always, kid gets a job at McDonald's flipping burgers to spend a little cash, and the first thing they do is they go and buy a car. And now you're trapped in the rat race, prematurely, really. And then, I have to pay for the car, so I have to work more hours. And then little by little things start to slip, and that's where...
Yeah. I mean, mine was no distractions away from school. That was a big one. I mean, it's typical African parents. Like, B? What is this B? I bring you here. And first of all, Somalis can't say B. No, actually, they can say B. They can't say P's. So, no mind.
Okay.
Yeah, so everything's a B. But anyway, B, like, what is this? I struggle, I strive, I kill myself to bring you here. And then my mom's favorite thing is to show me her C-section scars. She's like, this is what I suffered because of you, and you bring me a B? So work would have been a distraction, quote unquote, from school, because that's top priority at all times. So I wasn't allowed to work either.
Yeah, I think similar. Yeah, and I wonder because I mean,
I didn't get my first job until college.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I wonder how universal it is. I mean, it seems to be the same motivation for both our families, but like that's not what you see in like the movies of like American kids. Like they all get jobs, they go and make extra money, and then they start drag racing cars in the street, and then they drive off into the clouds in the sunset.
I will.
Grease, which was a really fun movie.
I will say there was a different expectation though from my brother. My brother got to do whatever the hell he wanted, so he got a job straight out of like after he graduated middle school and went to high school. Immediately got a job.
And what do you do with all the money?
My dad would put it in the bank for him and then never allow him to touch it, and then that became part of his school money.
Okay.
Which I found to be hilarious. I was like, "Why the hell are you working?" It's the dumbest thing ever.
Okay, so put you over a bit. I think you're out of frame.
All right.
Yeah, this is like we're pretty close quarters. I'm used to having all this space by myself and not being around humans, and all of a sudden, I used to be a touchy-feely person, and that was very uncomfortable for me. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
As uncomfortable as what you would do? Don't act all
I
loosey.
really have no idea.
What do you mean?
You want to stop the recording?
No. We'll talk about this on camera. So this
maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, so we will. So this fool, what we did one time was his wife just came from Honduras. So Alex's wife is Honduran, but she's like straight grew up, raised, lived her whole life in Honduras. They met over there while he was working there briefly after college. But anyway, she came here and we're taking her on a tour of the U.S. and we're like for those of you who live in the Northern Virginia, D.C. suburbs area, there's an area called, you're familiar with Old Town Alexandria. And for those of you who are not familiar, it's kind of like a bougie kind of like historical district area that has like a bunch of restaurants and stores and stuff like that.
And now I know the story.
Yeah, now you know the story. Yeah. So hidden on the main street there is this like boutique, fancy looking store. And Alex's wife Flora at the time was just like, oh, maybe they have some nice clothes in there. And we were like, yeah, this is a great store. You should go and check it out. And the expectation was that she would go in and get freaked out because it was an adult store. But it just looked so fancy because it's Old Town. So it's like bougie boutique look from the outside. So she's like, okay, because she loves to shop. So we're like, okay. So we go in there expecting to go, ew, you guys, why you bring me to this, blah, blah, blah. But she goes in there and she just kind of gets quiet and she's just looking around, just kind of confused and just silent. And then she's on one side. Alex is in the middle. I'm on the other side. And the lady at the front desk comes walking over towards us and she's like, can I help you guys find anything, in particular? And then this guy reaches over, puts his arm around his wife and his other arm around me, and then slowly begins to caress our earlobes and goes, yes, we're looking for something special. This is the creepiest thing ever.
Yeah, I would not do that today. Some people are into that stuff.
No.
Not me.
No.
And
he ended up getting the lady to give him a tour of the entire place, particularly their dungeon section, where he asked about the mechanics of the cage they had in the bottom, and then got a job application at the end of which I don't even know why the hell you got a job application. They told him they have a training seminar where they train you on how to use all the products.
I forgot about that detail, yeah. Well, that might be a good stopping point for episode 1. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
I got nothing. Well, I probably could.
This is gonna be a fun show. I'm excited. Okay, so coach over a bit. I think you're out of frame.
All right.
Yeah, this is like we're pretty close quarters. I'm used to having all this space by myself and not being around humans, and all of a sudden, I used to be a touchy-feely person, and that was very uncomfortable for me.